This presentation gives an overview of the new features in Switch 11 Update 4. For the list of bug fixes, please refer to the What's New on the Unfocus website. In this presentation, we will focus on new features in the archive hierarchy and execute command elements, on a number of changes in the area of the configurators, and a powerful new feature that allows performing calculations on variables. I will also briefly touch upon the new PHP sample for the Switch Web Services module and on a crash reporter that has been added to Switch Server. The archive hierarchy element has always been an element used at the end of a flow, but now you can continue with an archive job, for example to upload it via FTP, to send notifications, or to pass it on to a hot folder of an output device. This outgoing connection is a traffic light one, which means you can detect jobs that have not been archived correctly, as could be the case when the archive hierarchy is on a network folder that is temporarily unreachable. Before Update 4, the execute command element was limited to running in serialized mode. This means that there was only ever one instance of any external program running at the same time through the command line interface. Two command line programs in two different flows behaved like this, with only one program running at the same time. In Update 4, the execute command element got a new property, execution mode. When only one instance of an external program can run simultaneously, the execution mode should be set to serialized. And you will see this behavior, which is already more efficient. However, when the external program is capable of running multiple times simultaneously, you can set the execution mode to concurrent, and the throughput of the external program is drastically increased because now it scales together with the number of processing channels of your Switch server. The Pitstop Server configurator now supports Pitstop Server Update 2. Concretely speaking, this means you can choose the new report type, Scaled Low Resolution Annotated Report, and you can choose Polish as a report language, of course provided you activated it when installing Pitstop Server 11 Update 2. The StuffIt Deluxe element now supports version 15. There is a new configurator for the Ultimate ImpoStrip on-demand imposition application. This configurator is only available on Windows and requires ImpoStrip on demand version 8. The properties of the configurator are self-explanatory. You can either choose a configuration from the library of configured hot folders on your system, or let Switch determine the name of the configuration automatically. The two Woodwing configurators now support Woodwing Enterprise 8, and a number of new features have been added. In the download configurator, there is now support for dossiers and for downloading child objects. In the upload configurator, it is now possible to set the status of the uploaded objects to Next, and both in the download and upload configurators you have the option Current when selecting an issue. These changes greatly increase the flexibility of the Woodwing configurators. The HP Digital Frontend configurator has been enhanced to allow all properties to be set through variables and script expressions, which allows a more flexible automation. Some properties have also been added. It is now possible to define different media for certain sheets. The extended tooltip help explains how to define that. You can now determine whether a banner sheet should be included and whether a divider sheet should be added. And you can set that the printed material in the output tray should be stacked using a jog offset. The configurator generates two outputs, a JDF file that is picked up by the DFE of the press, and the print file that is put in the asset file location to which the JDF file refers. In the previous version, the JDF file was always created, also when the print asset could not be placed in the asset file location. Now the JDF file is not created anymore, and the print job is placed in the Problems job folder. The new version of the LPCal Claro configurator enables you to run the Claro premedia server on another computer than Switch. All you have to do is to specify the full network path to the Claro preferences.xml file on the other computer. There is a new feature in the Variables dialog window. Under the switch group, there is a new variable called Calculation. This allows you to perform calculations on numeric variables without having to resort to script expressions. As a first example of what you can do with this new feature, I will do a unit conversion. When selecting PDF boxes from the stats group, the value returned by switch is in points because that is a unit PDF files work with. To convert that to inches or millimeters, you proceed as follows. When you build your condition, you go to the switch group and calculations first, and then you start building an expression. Here you choose from the stats the trim box width, you insert the variable, and you perform the calculation. You divide it by 72 and multiply it by 25.4 to convert this to millimeters, as you can see here. Adding a precision to the variable will round it down to the number of decimals behind the decimal point, and that makes it a lot easier to make the comparison. 210 millimeters in this case for the trim box width, and we do the exact same thing for the trim box height. Insert the variable, divide by 72 because there are 72 points to the inch. We add the precision, insert the variable, click on OK, and compare that with 297. In the second example, I'm going to build a calculation that gives me the surface area of a PDF in square inches, a piece of information I could use, for example, to do a cost calculation. So I take the media box width from the stats group, divide that by 72 to give me the value in inches. I surround that by brackets because I want to do an additional calculation, namely to multiply this by the media box height, also divided by 72. I add a precision value of 2, insert the variable, and I can see the sample value telling me that for this particular file the surface area is 101 square inches. Switch 11 Update 4 comes with a new PHP sample for the Switch Web Services module. It's a zip file that has to be unzipped somewhere under the document root of the website's PHP server. It basically has two components, a login window and a workspace area where submit points and checkpoints are dynamically shown. The documentation has some easy instructions on how to incorporate these two components in your own web pages. And by modifying just one settings file and one stylesheet file, you can get a long way into customizing the sample to fit your needs without being a PHP expert. The final novelty I would like to present is the crash reporter that has been added to Switch server. It is fortunately a rare occurrence, but if it should happen that your Switch server crashes, a crash report window will pop up where you can provide some additional information about the circumstances of the crash. This is very useful to help us find the cause. All information in the crash report will of course be handled confidentially. This concludes the presentation on what's new in Switch 11 Update 4.